everyone, and welcome to the Luminaire 2. We are going to be discussing today how to do sashing around a hexagon. So the first step, of course, is to make sure your machine is on, have some sort of a hexagon quilt ready to go, which in one of the other videos we talked about how to design this one, where I took this built-in design and took that same size, put it into the scan and cut, added a 1/4 inch seam, and then all I did is just add some sashing around it. This is 2-inch sashing, and this here is 5-inch sashing, and then just trimmed it down. I've not bound it yet, but it's a pretty nice simple centerpiece for my table. So I actually made two. I have another one this time in blue that we're going to be using to quilt. So what we're going to do is go into this queue for quilting, and in here there are 3 different sections. Number 1 is your regular squares. These are some other squares that actually have some nice rounded edges here and there. And then of course number 3 is our hexagons. So you can choose whichever design you'd like. Let's see. Let's try this one. I haven't done this one yet. And we'll hit set. Now when you get to this screen, what you need to do is measure your hexagon from point to point, and you want to make sure that this is a good accurate measurement. When I did my hexagon the first time, I actually did not have my measurement correct. However, the system allows for you to stretch and shrink your sashing as you go around and rehoop, so even if you are off, you can still get everything to fit in there nicely and you can't even tell. But mine is about a 9.3. And then even though my sashing was cut to 2 inches, and then after taking the 1/4 inch seams off of each side, it's about 1.5 inches. I usually like to have it a little bit smaller. That's up to you. But I'm going to do 1.4. And then down here you choose your hoop size. I have an old 9.5 by 14 inch magnetic hoop because I do not have my hot little hands on the new Brother magnetic hoop as of yet. So what we're going to do is hit next. And it breaks this up. Now, don't fret when you see that there's total of 12 pieces. Most of these, like when you start with here, if you have the 9.5 by 14 or even a bigger hoop, usually does this, and you don't have to rehoop with this. I highly suggest a magnetic hoop for this. If you can get your hands on the new Brother hoop, I know that they're not out yet. We haven't gotten them in our store yet. But I would highly suggest a magnetic hoop because you can actually use the design that's projected onto your fabric and position your fabric and then just put your hoop top on. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that today. So you're going to hit memory after you see this breakup and make sure that everything looks good. And it actually saves this into your machine. You're going to hit OK. And then as you can see, I have a couple designs here because I've done a few. But you click on it. And you do not want to click these separate designs. This is more if you wanted to use this elsewhere in the quilt, or maybe you made a mistake and had to go back. You want to click this one that has the 12 down in the bottom left-hand corner. Click on that. And as you can see, it opens up this first design anyway. But this one will actually walk you through every step of the way. We'll hit set. And there we go. So it tells you and shows you how to hoop it up. So I'm going to move this camera now. And as you can see, I have an older magnetic hoop here. I actually had gotten this from my dream machine. And we're going to grab my other quilt and put it in. So I want to match and kind of hoop up this corner. And as you can see, I used pins in mine. If you are a pin user, then please make sure you remove them before embroidering. I am not usually a pin user. I just ran out of starch, of course, right before doing this video. Now, one little hint too is there actually is a little magnetic up here, so I can actually keep my pins right up here as I'm going. And I can take this and slide it down. Now, I'm probably going to reposition this. I'm just more putting this in here for the moment. So on my screen, I'm going to move this back. It shows still my hoop position. I'm going to hit OK. And now it's going to let you know that we can rotate and move this to get this into place. So the first thing that usually pops up is your move keys, which allows you to move it. Although a lot of times I'll just take my quilt and move it instead because it's less time consuming, especially with the magnetic hoop. I'm going to hit OK. Looks like I almost positioned it pretty good. Now it's hard to see You can kind of see how this is projected in here. And this little T needs to go into this corner. So I'm going to put this back, and I'm going to position this. And that's why, again, this magnetic hoop is, oops, unless you put the pins there and knock into them. I can just take this and position it right in. Now, what I can also do is change the projection. So right now, I'm going to see if I can get in here. You can only see the bottom half of this. So I always like to click one of these different, because it's showing me the corner. I like to click this one here, or maybe this top corner, because now it'll actually project the majority of the design, so I can place it a little easier. And once again, I'm going to move my fabric instead of the machine. I could use those arrows to move, but again, I find it's a little bit quicker with the magnetic hoop to just position this here. And then of course, with the magnetic hoop, make sure everything is nice and tight and you don't have anything folded underneath it. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. It's pretty close. I'm a little bit off here. And what I could do is use those move arrows over here to move this. And it will slowly move this. And I'm going to move the projection a little bit just to make sure that it lines up on this side. Looks like it needs to be moved over a little bit more. And then move the projection again just to double check. Now I did this really close to the size of my sashing, so it's going to be right on the edge because I have about 1.5 inches in sashing here. But once I'm set, I'm going to put this back so you guys can watch both. I'm going to hit OK. And I'm ready to stitch. Now I have metallic thread in here, and I also have the machine going really, really slow, but it's such a quick design. Even on the slowest speed, it doesn't take that long. And I love quilting with metallic because I feel it gives a pop, and especially with these beautiful designs, you kind of want them to pop out. Now it looks like I was a little off, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. If you're new at this, what I do suggest is to use a matching thread color or maybe a very fine thread. You can even embroider with what's called a 100-weight thread or a silk weight thread, and that is a lovely thread to start with if you're a little nervous about your thread showing. But I have done quite a few of these quilts now with this style of sashing, and even if you have a little bit of thread that pops off of your edge of your seam, no one really notices. And there we go. So that didn't take too long, even with the machine on the slowest speed. Now it says embroidery is finished. Okay to connect next pattern. Whew, say that 5 times fast. We're going to hit OK, and it's actually going to open up your next section. So it tells you here, you know, we got to use the rotate keys and adjust, and you want to make sure that the bottom T is going to line up with the next corner. Which on mine, it looks like it's actually a little bit too far down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this to a top corner so you guys can see. And look, it actually automatically pretty much connects. It looks like I can move this up a little bit. And we're gonna squish. So there's 2 keys here that are very important. When you're on your rotate screen, you have these 2 keys. The one with the arrow up is actually to squish your design a little bit. And the one with the arrow down is to lengthen it. So if you notice that your design is a little too long, so see where this red line is? I need to bring that red line up. And let it reload, still a little bit more. And it takes a little playing with. And this is again because I'm apparently very terrible at measuring hexagons. And if your hexagon is a little uneven too, you may have to do this. That looks pretty close. I could probably do this a little bit more. But that's pretty much as close as I'm gonna get. So once we're set, we can hit OK. And then this next part is ready to stitch out. Now, if you are still a little nervous and you feel that you need to move this design a little bit, you can still go into your layout screen after you hit OK and go to Move. And it actually will open up that move screen, as you can see. So I may want to move this a little up because it looks like it's not going to fully connect. And then because I moved that, I may have actually disturbed the rotate, and I can always go back into rotate and make sure that that T is still on the corner, which looks like it actually is. So we are good to go. And then I can go ahead and stitch the next part. And as you can see, it looks like it's starting pretty much right on there. Oof, that's perfect. So pretty much how that works is you just keep going around doing the same exact thing. And the square ones too, if you haven't tried those, they work about the same. They're a little bit easier because you don't have as many corners to go around. But that's all it is, and you just keep repeating and going around. That's it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment on the video below. Thank you so much. Bye.